everyone, welcome to my presentation. In the next 10 minutes, I will be talking about constructivist grounded theory, which I plan to use in my study for our class. So let's get started. Constructivist grounded theory is a hybrid form of constructivism, grounded theory, and pragmatism. It has elements of the three traditions in its characteristics. Constructivism is reflected in the fact that constructivist grounded theory acknowledges the complexity of social life. It is grounded because it studies processes, presupposes a fluid, somewhat indeterminate reality. It has an inductive, comparative, interactive, iterative, and abductive nature. It is pragmatic because it seeks multiple perspectives and practices. It sees reality as social and locates experiences in a social context. The unique characteristic of constructivist grounded theory is that it allows to address what, how, and why questions while preserving the complexity of social life. Key scholar using this approach is Kathy Chapman. She passed away in July, but you can still see her in the video links provided here. We also need to mention big names in grounded theory because that is where constructivist grounded theory comes from. Those big names include Asel Strauss, Bernie Glaser, and Juliet Corbin. Ethical consideration are our next concern. I borrowed these ethical considerations from our textbook and some papers about grounded theory. So first, just a reminder, we talked about autonomy, meaning the right of individuals to choose. We also talked about the concern that our research should not harm. Our research should instead do good for others equally. We talked about being honest, trustworthy, and acting with integrity. We also talked about being truthful to our participants. In addition, similar to the active role of grounded theorists, constructivist grounded theorists also need to think about ethical issues that may arise while the process is undergoing. For example, we ask questions like, how do we advance the purpose of the study? How do we have a good logical framework for future replication? And how do we assign appropriate authority and power to the participant? Which also leads to the next question. What is the relationship between the researcher and participants? In constructivist grounded theory, the researchers are also co-producer and partners. The interaction between the researcher and participants produces the data, and therefore the meaning that the researcher observes and defines. This approach allows us to ask what, how, and sometimes why questions about the issue of importance in people's lives. We can start by asking questions like, what's happening here? What are the basic social processes? How do the observed social processes emerge? How do participant actions construct them? How and when do their meaning and actions concerning the process change? So on and so forth. What type of data should we collect? This is true for qualitative research, not just grounded theory or constructivist grounded theory. That is, all is data. However, we need to remember, data vary in quality, relevance of your emerging interest, and usefulness for interpretation. Data also vary in the researcher's ability to discern useful data and in their skill and thoroughness in recording them. We also need to evaluate the quality and quantity of that data. Do we have a good set of data? We can do that by asking, have I collected enough background data about persons, processes, and settings to have ready recall and understand and portray the study's full range of contexts? Have I gained detailed descriptions of the range of participants' views and action? Do the data reveal what lies beneath the surface? Or what kinds of comparisons can I make between data? And how do these comparisons generate and inform my data, my ideas? There are also recommended ways to construct data in constructivist grounded theory, including attending to actions and processes as well as to words, identifying the condition under which specific actions, attention, and processes emerge or are muted, finding taken for granted or hidden assumptions of various participants, recording who did what, when it occurred, and when it happened, focusing on specific words and phrases, so on and so forth. Constructivist grounded theorists start the process of analyzing the moment we enter the field. There are two common types of analysis in this methodology, coding and memoing. There are four phases in coding. In phase one is initial coding. We name each word, line, or segment of data that follow. In second phase is more a focused selective phase that uses the most significant or frequent initial codes to sort, synthesize, integrate, and organize large amount of data. In phase three, we use initial coding, which involves relating categories to subcategories. And phase four is the most advanced phase, when we do theoretical coding, which follow the codes from phase two to specify possible relationships between categories in phase three. For memo writing, we have early memo, which record what happened in the data. And with advanced memo, help us to trace and categorize data subsumed by our topic. This screen describe how our data category emerges and changes, also identify the beliefs and assumptions that support it, and tell what the topic looks and feels like from various vantage points. It also plays the topic within an argument and make comparisons. So after collecting, analyzing, and coming up with a theory, how can we be sure that we have achieved trustworthiness? Grounded theory in general and constructivist grounded theory focus on analyzing data in adductive, comparative, interactive, iterative, and adductive ways. Theoretical sampling, therefore, is important. It's all about the data. In constructivist grounded theory, especially, flexibility and constant comparisons are vital because the researchers are now part of the process. Particularly for the researcher themselves, they need to go beyond the surface in seeking meaning in the data, searching for and questioning tacit meanings about values, beliefs, and ideologies. They also need to immerse themselves in the data in a way that embeds the narratives of participants in the final research outcome. I also want to provide here some criteria for evaluation, which includes rigor in coding, quality of concept, systematic relatedness among concepts, the conceptual density, the range of variations, significance of theoretical findings, and theoretical sensitivity. Lastly, like any other methodology, this approach also has limitation. Glaser, one of the founders of the grounded theory, criticizes the constructivism element of the methodology for potential introduction of bias to the description of data. He said, constructivist data, if it exists at all, is a very, very small part of the data that grounded theory uses. Overall, the constructivist grounded theory also shares the limitations that grounded theory has. First, data collection and analysis often rely on researcher skills and awareness of the role values play. Therefore, novice researchers find the methodology challenging at times. Second, a large amount of data is needed to generate the theory. That is why it's labor and time intensive. Finally, it is difficult to determine the degree to which theories will transfer or apply to other settings because of its grounded inductive interpretive nature. That is effectively my take on constructivist grounded theory. Please refer to the handout for key points of this presentation. The question is available in our discussion board. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your question and suggestion to improve my understanding.